Welcome to episode 14, Media Interview Best Practices.
Welcome to the PR Playbook Podcast with Ranjini Joshua, the only podcast that teaches you how to strategically navigate the world of public relations and social media and grow a powerful brand.
Hello and welcome to episode 14. You or your PR team has done the legwork. You've secured an interview with the relevant reporter, but are you ready? Before you interview with any reporter, you must do your research and make sure that you go into the interview with your eyes wide open. Whether you've done 100 interviews or this is your first one, make sure that you have all your bases covered when it comes to an interview. Typically, when we secure an interview for a client, we send them a briefing sheet with all the background information that they need, messaging tips and follow-up tips, the whole layout. So in this podcast today, we're going to go over 5 tips to prep you for your next media interview. First, do your background research. You usually want to make sure you do this before you even pitch a reporter, but let's say you finally score that interview, you might want to dive deeper into their profile. Check their media profile, their LinkedIn, or their profile on the website of that media outlet that they write for. It should give you an understanding of their beat, their background. Sometimes it gives you what college they went to, and you can find out some more personal information just to kind of build a rapport with them during the interview. Another important thing here is to check the past 3 or 4 articles so you can get an idea of their style and their voice so that you can prepare your messaging points according to how they actually do their interviews. And you could probably guess that they've interviewed other people in their previous articles as well. Number 2, prepare talking points. Based on your pitch and angle and the reporter's interest, prepare your talking points accordingly. So if it's an announcement, make sure you include the key highlights of your announcement. This should tap into their areas of interest. So you pull them in and then you will discover that mostly when you're doing your research and weave it into what you want to say. And they should highlight the goals that you want to come out of that interview. So this is the kind of place where you put your agenda into it and you really highlight why your news, your press release, your topic or industry perspective is important related to how that reporter writes. Why would that person readership care about what you're saying? The more relevant that you can make it to their readers, the more likely it is that you're going to get into an article prepared by that reporter. 3, nothing is off the record. I've had this happen a lot of times. A common mistake is not preparing talking points before the interview or talking off the cuff, which I really, really, really hate. And this sometimes happens with loose lips CEOs or even marketing people or people who are just excited about what they're doing. Don't say anything you're not ready to back up or really formally announce. No matter how nice or friendly the reporter is, always remember that nothing is off the record. Never reveal information you don't feel comfortable seeing in the article. It is extremely difficult to clean something up backwards. And I know we've tried to do this before, and some reporters are very gracious and will allow you to do that. It's not impossible, but it's just not something that you want to get into. You don't want to get into that slip up. So it's better safe than sorry. If you're unsure about something, you can always tell a reporter, hey, let me check on that and I will get back to you, and we can email them later with a confirmation or verify any details that you may have not been comfortable including in your interview prior to that. And that's perfectly okay. Reporters are used to it. They're going to ask you what they can ask you. They don't know what you can't tell them. So don't worry about keeping your mouth shut a little bit. I always say be more conservative, but if you're okay with letting things fly, then go for it. If you are a public company, you have to be a little bit more careful about this because your investors are probably not going to be very happy. Actually, even if you're a private company, if you're revealing things that aren't ready to be revealed. This usually applies to, investor-focused information, financial projections or numbers or customers or partnerships that you haven't yet announced. So just keep that in mind. Nothing is off the record, and make sure whoever the spokesperson is prepared to understand that. 4, thank the reporter and follow up with supplementary materials. So whenever you follow up, my best practice is that you always follow up with something that can help the reporter finish the article. That could be a little bit more information. It could be a customer testimonial, phone number, or email contact information for someone they can get a third-party quote from, or even a press kit. It could be a press kit link and some graphic images that you prefer that they use. Give them some resources so that they can wrap up the article and it makes them feel good, and you've kind of helped them along the process. You're not just in it for the interview and out. You're really building a relationship and working on the article together. Of course, make sure you thank the reporter for their time during this process as well. It's a good place to insert your knowledge about their background, their family, their interests. Hey, I hope your kid's game goes well, or whatever the case is. Make sure you add a little bit of personalization there. These people are humans, and so we always have to remember that. Last but not least, number 5, stay in touch. Track the reporter, see what they're writing. Maybe follow them on LinkedIn or follow them on Twitter. And if you see something that they like or something funny that they posted, respond to it, mention it, or even email them just to kind of do a sly check-in, but also responding to something that's happening in their life. Keeping in touch with the reporter is a great way to establish and nurture that relationship. Put them on your holiday mailing list, which I love to do for most of the reporters that we work with on a repetitive basis. Send them helpful links or news that you think that they might be interested in their particular beat or industry. Or, maybe you have something that you want to announce, but it's not newsworthy enough for a press release, and you could just give them a quick company update. Create a two-way relationship, and maybe they'll come to you proactively for your expertise the next time they're writing an article about something in your industry. And worst comes to worst, they see your name somewhere and they have a really good feeling about you because you're not just using them to get an article or interview. So going back to these 5 steps, number 1, do your background research. Number 2, prepare talking points. Number 3, nothing is off the record. Number 4, thank the reporter and follow up with supplementary materials. And number 5, stay in touch. Following up is probably one of the biggest jobs that we have to do in the PR world. So make sure that you make it a priority. This is where we see most brands or companies that are doing DIY PR drop the ball. And people always tell me, hey, I emailed a bunch of these people and they never emailed me back. Well, you didn't follow up with them. We typically follow up about 3 or 4 times. So if you're not getting that article to come full circle, it's probably because you didn't follow up enough. And it could be because it wasn't interesting enough. That could be something that's a possibility too. Sometimes it means that you will have to reach out 2 or 3 times with different things, more information, something interesting. Remember, try to look at it from the perspective of the reporter. Sometimes you will get rejected. So that's also a reality. A story doesn't come out of every interview, but use it as a building block for a growing relationship, and you just may hit it big next time. I hope these tips were very helpful. May the pitching force be with you. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the podcast topics, please submit them at podcast@thesilvertelegram.com. That's all for now. Can't wait to see you in your next interview. Until next time.